So once again we meet. Good morning, dear students, and we continue with the Tempest, and we were doing Act 1, Scene 2, and here on your screen you can see the conversation which is taking place between Prospero and his slave spirit Ariel. So Ariel is standing next to Prospero, and you can see Prospero wearing his long flowing black cloak or his mantle, about which we have discussed earlier, and he is holding his staff, that is his magic stick, in his hand. So he is annoyed that Ariel is asking for his freedom, and he is talking to Ariel right now here in this particular scene. So let us see what conversation takes place between Ariel and Prospero. So I'm scrolling up to where we had left off in our previous class, and we'll begin from where we will begin today. So here we go, and we are on page 40 of The Tempest. So Ariel says, yes, Caliban, her son. Actually, Prospero was asking Ariel about Sycorax, the foul witch, and how and under what circumstances Prospero had found Ariel when Prospero arrived with his daughter in this island. So now Ariel says, yes, Caliban, her son. And Prospero, as soon as Ariel's son, or rather Sycorax's son, is mentioned by Ariel, and Prospero dislikes this particular creature whose name is Caliban. So Prospero starts talking in a very angry tone about Caliban. So Prospero says, dull thing, I say so, he that Caliban, whom now I keep in service. This Caliban is actually a very dull creature. I have kept him in my service. He is doing service to me as a slave, as a servant, but he is actually a very dull creature. He is not worth to be kept as a servant because he does not give proper service to me. That Caliban whom now I keep in service, thou best knowest what torment I did find thee in. Thy groans did make wolves howl and penetrate the breasts of ever angry bears. So you must remember under what circumstances I had found you when I came to this island. You were groaning, crying in pain. You were imprisoned inside the hollow trunk of a tree from where you were crying, and even your painful cries were so pathetic that it could make the wolves howl in pain hearing you cry. And your painful cries were sufficient enough to penetrate or to get inside the hearts of even angry bears. So even animals, wild animals, were upset to hear you cry in such a manner. It was a torment to lay upon the damned, which Sycorax could not again undo. So it was a torture. It was a torture meant for condemned souls. And Sycorax, unfortunately for you, could not take off her spell, could not release you, because she was dead. After having imprisoned Ariel inside the tree trunk, Sycorax, the foul witch, had somehow died. And ever since then, Ariel had been crying in pain and living in that condition inside the tree, imprisoned. It was mine art. So Prospero says, it was by means of my magical art when I arrived and heard thee, that when I arrived in this island and when I heard you cry, that made gape the pine and let thee out. That with the help of my magical skills, after I arrived in this island, I opened up the pine tree, the trunk of the pine tree, the hollow pine. I opened it up and I rescued you, I freed you from your imprisoned state. So from your imprisonment, it was I who freed you, not Sycorax. she had put you inside it and had died. And several years had gone by, and then I arrived. And because I had the magical skills and power, I rescued you from inside this pine tree. So Prospero reminds Ariel about what he had done for Ariel. Ariel says, I thank thee, master. I am thankful to you, master. Prospero says, if thou more murmurest, I will rend an oak and peg thee in his knotty entrails till thou hast howled away 12 winters. If you again complain that I am giving you work to do, if you complain again, if you murmurest, then I will this time put you inside an oak tree. I will open an oak tree up, and inside the entrails, the knotty or the twisted inner portion of the oak tree, I will imprison you and I'll leave you there for 12 years. 12 winters refers to 12 years. You will be inside this oak tree. Just as Sycorax had punished you, I can also do the same. If I can rescue you from inside a pine tree, I can also put you inside an oak tree, and I can once again punish you in the same manner as Sycorax had done in the past. Ariel says, pardon, master. I will be correspondent to command and do my spiriting gently. I beg your pardon, master. I am so sorry. In fact, I apologize, and I am ready to carry out whatever orders you give me. I will carry out, or I'll be correspondent to your command and do my spiriting gently. That means my activities as a spirit I will carry out without complaining, without making a fuss about it. I will gently or I will quietly carry out your orders. Prospero says, do so, and after 2 days I will discharge thee. So Prospero gives the reply finally to Ariel, says that do as I expect from you, and if you do it, then after 2 more days I am going to set you free. You will be a free spirit exactly 2 days later. 2 more days, and then you will be free. Ariel says, that's my noble master. Ariel becomes happy and he starts praising his master. He says, that's like my noble master. What shall I do? Say what? What shall I do? Ariel is once again fully energetic and insists Prospero to tell him what he has to do. Prospero says, go make thyself like a nymph of the sea. Go and transform yourself into a spirit which lives in the sea. Nymph of the sea. Be subject to no sight but thine and mine, so that you remain invisible to everyone except you yourself and myself. So make yourself, convert yourself into the nymph of the sea and make yourself invisible to everyone else. So, invisible to every eyeball else. You will be invisible to the eyes of everyone else. Go take this shape, and hither come in it. Go hence with diligence. So go and take this shape, and after changing your shape, come here with attentiveness. Diligence means attentiveness, because I will give you certain orders, certain tasks to perform. So you will have to carry out those tasks. So go and change your shape and come back here. Exit Ariel. Now remember, Ariel is an airy spirit as described in the dramatis persona of the play, and he can take whatever shape he wants to. So he can turn into an object, he can turn into an animal, he can turn into a human being, he can become like a nymph of the sea, that is a fairy which lives, or a supernatural creature which lives in the sea, or a spirit of the sea. So he has given orders, and Ariel has gone out to perform or carry out that order by changing himself and then coming back to Prospero. So with that we finish that page. We move to page 41. Now when Ariel is gone, Prospero turns to Miranda. He had induced magical sleep so that his daughter wouldn't know what he was planning and what he was discussing with Ariel. So now is the time to wake up Miranda, his daughter, and so he says, "Awake, dear heart, awake. Thou hast slept well, awake. You have slept for quite a long time, and now you must awake." So Miranda wakes up and then says, "The strangeness of your story put heaviness in me. The very strange tale which you were telling me actually caused me to become drowsy, and so I fell asleep." So the heaviness here refers to the drowsiness. So she says that, Miranda thinks that she is drowsy, or she became drowsy because her father was telling the story of their past to her. But actually it was magical sleep. And that's why she was sleeping, and now she has got up because the spell has been taken off by Prospero. And Prospero says, "Shake it off. Come on, we'll visit Caliban, my slave, who never yields us kind answer. So shake off your slumber, shake off your sleep, and come along with me, because now I am going to meet Caliban, who is my slave and who never gives pleasant answer to my questions. So let's go and meet that slave." Miranda hates Caliban and so says, "'Tis a villain, sir, I do not love to look on." It is a villain. Caliban is treated as an object by Miranda, and she says, "Not he is a villain, but it is a villain, sir, and I don't like to look at his face. I hate to see him." Prospero says, "But as 'tis, we cannot miss him. But then we cannot forego or do without him, because we need somebody to serve us." Now, Ariel is useful for other purposes, but Caliban, who has a body and who is actually a living creature, is helpful in so many things, which Prospero now goes on to speak about. So he says, "He does make our fire, fetch in our wood, and serves in offices that profit us." So Caliban is the person who makes the fire for us, and who brings in the firewood from the forest, and who carries out whatever orders we give him for our benefit. Profit here means benefit. And while talking, both Prospero and Miranda come to a place where there is an enclosure into which Caliban has been kept a prisoner by Prospero. And there is a reason behind this. Caliban had tried to outrage the modesty of Prospero's daughter. That's the reason why Prospero had put him in a confinement. And now let's see what happens. He calls out to Caliban. He says, "What ho, slave Caliban, thou earth, thou speak." Hey, you slave Caliban, you earth, meaning to say piece of dirt, speak up. I'm calling you. Now Caliban's voice can be heard from inside the enclosure. Still he is not visible, but his voice comes from within. "There's wood enough within. There is enough wood I have brought in for you all. So why are you calling me?" His meaning is, why are you calling me when there is enough wood kept in the wherever the wood is stockpiled. So it is there, and why are you calling me? Prospero says, "Come forth, I say. Come out, I say. There's other business for thee. I have some other task for you. You have to carry out those things which I tell you now. Come, thou tortoise. When? So, when are you going to come out?" An exclamation of impatience. "How long am I going to wait for you? Come out, you tortoise." He calls him a tortoise. Re-enter Ariel like a water nymph. Now in the meantime, Ariel, who had gone to change his shape, has changed his looks and has come back like the spirit of the water, or a water nymph. Now only Prospero can see him. Miranda, of course, will not be able to see him. In the meantime, Prospero says to Ariel, "Fine apparition, my quaint Ariel, hark in thine ear." So, you are looking graceful. Spirit, apparition means spirit. My quaint Ariel, you are a very clever spirit, I must say. You have really transformed yourself. Come, listen to me. I will speak into your ears. I will tell you what to do quietly. Why? Because Miranda is around, so he doesn't want that Miranda should be able to hear him. Now, Miranda will not be able to see Ariel, and Prospero will speak in a subdued voice to Ariel. Now, Ariel says, "My lord, it shall be done." So, once Ariel hears Prospero's words, he says, "My lord, I will definitely carry out whatever you have said." And saying this, exit, meaning to say, Ariel leaves the scene. Now, Prospero, thou poisonous slave, come forth. Once again, he calls out to Caliban, "You poisonous slave, come out immediately." And this time, Caliban comes out. Enter Caliban. Caliban enters the scene. He comes out of his enclosure and speaks. "As wicked dew as ever my mother brushed, with raven's feather from unwholesome fen, drop on you both. A southwest blow on ye, and blister you all over." So he is cursing Prospero and Miranda. He says, "When my mother was alive, she used to collect dewdrops for her black magic purpose, and she used to brush off these dewdrops with the help of raven's feather from bogs or wastelands." Unwholesome fen refers to harmful, something which is unhealthy, something which is bad for human health. So she used to go and collect. See, witches, when they have to practice black magic, they have to make use of objects or things which are harmful for human beings. So she used to collect such poisonous dewdrops from bog areas or wasteland areas, and she used to make certain magical, you can say, concoctions with those things. So here we find Caliban saying that, "I wish such poisonous dewdrops drop upon both of you." That is one curse. And the second curse, then he says, "A southwest blow on ye, and blister you all over." I also wish that a southwest wind, which is supposed to be full of hot air, so I wish that a southwestern wind blows and burns your skin. Let blisters develop on your body. So he is cursing Prospero. Now, when he curses, Prospero will of course take action, because he will not tolerate this type of attitude from Caliban. So Prospero says, "For this be sure, tonight thou shalt have cramps, side stitches that shall pen thy breath up, for saying all these nasty things to me and my daughter. Be sure that tonight you will suffer from muscle spasms or cramps. Side stitches." What are side stitches? Well, pain on the sides of the body, and these different types of pain will trouble you so much that you will not be able to even breathe properly. "Urchins shall for that vast of night, that they may work all exercise on thee. Thou shalt be pinched as thick as honeycomb, each pinch more stinging than bees that made him." So I will set certain goblins or spirits upon you, and they will be pinching you throughout the night when you are trying to sleep, and your entire body will become like a beehive because of inflammation of the skin, because of the pinches inflicted by these goblins. So each pinch will be more stinging in pain than even the bees that can make them. So in this way I will punish you, and you won't be able to sleep at night. Caliban says, "I must eat my dinner. This island's mine." Caliban says, "I must eat my dinner," meaning to say that this island rightfully belongs to me, and I must be free to live my life as I want. I must eat my dinner means I must be free to live my life as I want to, and because this island belongs to me by Sycorax, my mother, because this island was originally inhabited by my mother Sycorax, and now you have come and taken it away from me, which thou takest from me. So ideally I should be a free creature, and I should be allowed to live my life in my own way, where I should be allowed to take the decisions of my life, and enjoy the freedom that I deserve. And you have unlawfully taken over this island from me, because this island I had inherited it from my mother, because she was the first one to arrive here, and I being her son, it is my island. When thou camest first, thou strokest me and madest much of me. When you came here for the first time, initially you petted me, and you showed all sorts of kindness to me, and you made much of me. Wouldst give me water with berries in it, and you would even give me water with berries put inside it, and teach me how to name the bigger light and how the less. You were the one who taught me how to call the bigger light of the day and the lesser light which comes at night, meaning to say, you taught me how to call the sun, and the moon, the moon. So I came to know about the sun and the moon from you. You would be very kind to me at that time, and then I loved thee and showed thee all the qualities of the isle. And I used to love you at that time, and I have shown you all the good aspects of this island, all the good aspects, or the qualities of this island. The fresh springs where you can get fresh water from. So I showed you all those fresh water resources. Brine pits are salt pits, because for cooking you require salt. So I showed you the area from where you can collect salt. Barren place and fertile, I showed you the difference between what is cultivable land and what is a barren land. Cursed be I that did so, and I now feel that I should be cursed for having done so, because I shouldn't have shown you all these things. All the charms of Sycorax, toads, beetles, bats light on you. I wish that all the magical charms of my mother Sycorax, all the toads and beetles and bats, all these nasty creatures come down upon you, for I am all the subjects that you have, because I am the only subject. If you are ruling this island as a king, then I am your only subject whom you have, which first was mine own king, and here you stye me in this hard rock. I was my own king. There was a time when I was all by myself in this island, but now you have come and taken over, and you have enclosed me, you have imprisoned me. Just as a pig is kept inside the pigsty, you have styed me in this hard rock. So Caliban is actually kept imprisoned behind some rocks, and when Prospero wants to bring him out, only then by means of his magic he removes the rocks, and then Caliban can come out. So he says, he's complaining, he's talking about his present condition, his confinement, and he says, this hard rock is where you have kept me confined, whilst you do keep me from the rest of the island, and you have kept the rest of the island to yourself. You have removed me from the rest of the island and kept me enclosed behind these rocks, and the entire island is what you are now keeping to yourself. So we can see that Sycorax had died, and Caliban had grown up by himself, and then Prospero came to this island and took over this island, and then Caliban was initially treated with kindness by Prospero. So he is talking about all such things, and he does not like it that he is now a prisoner in Prospero's hands. Prospero says, thou most lying slave. So we'll stop here for the day. Thou most lying slave. You are a lying slave. What you are saying is not true, because we are now going to find out why exactly Prospero had imprisoned Caliban, which will come up in our next video tutorial. So we have come to the end of page 42 in Act 1, Scene 2 of The Tempest. So if you have not understood any particular line, you can once again play this video, and you can go to that line and you can listen to my explanation, so that there is no confusion and no doubt. I hope I have been able to make you understand. That's all for today. Thank you.